Welcome to the Knotenkopp knitting podcast. I forgot my own YouTube channel name there. Yes, my name is Johanna, if you haven't been here before, and this is the first time you are finding my YouTube channel. I talk about my knitting on here, and today I'm coming to you with my autumn and winter knitting plans, because if we are being honest, autumn is nearly over. We have the middle of November. I think it's the 15th. And so yeah, basically we're very close to Christmas time already. But I mean, it doesn't really matter to me too much. I talked about this in my last podcast episode. I basically knit sweaters all year round, and I just have like, for the colder months, a general knitting plans vision or idea, but like they don't stop in autumn. They continue into the new year, over Christmas, over New Year's Eve, and we will see how much I get done until spring comes around. Obviously plans change, who knows. I'm also trying to have a more realistic take this time. I definitely maybe was a little bit too optimistic at the beginning of the year how much I can knit. I mean, a lot of the reasons why I didn't knit the summer that much were not that predictable to me, but yes, I'm trying to be a little bit more realistic. My biggest aim for this year is to free all of my needles of current projects until New Year's Eve. Maybe it's not that achievable, but that would be what I would like to do. And all the like bigger new cast-ons, they can start like in January. That's fine by me, but let's talk about what I've been knitting. So I have a lot of wool surrounding me. I'm also on a like soft yarn ban until spring, maybe even further than that, just regarding sweater mounts, because I bought a lot of sweater yarn in the beginning of the year and I still haven't knit through it, and I would like to do that. Like a lot of the sweaters I have planned for the yarn I really want, but it just happens I can't knit that fast, and I really don't have any more storage place for more yarn. Exceptions are like single skeins or like head quantities or something, because I really consistently knit these things. You will see in my when we come to accessories, I'm really good at using scraps, leftovers, single skeins. It's like I don't really have an issue with that, and I really enormously reduced my scrap and single skein stash this year. So yesterday was Sunday, and I really did like a cozy Sunday day, and I took out my sewing machine for something very special. We will talk about it in a second. And I also realized I kind of need to start labeling my yarn, or at least the scrappy bits that don't have the like wool label anymore with it. Like some of them, they are caked up and I put like the label in the middle, and some of them are still full skein. But I especially have a lot of like gray, beige and grayish yarns that all look very similar, and last week I had like a mishappen that I thought a yarn was a different yarn and wanted to knit a project with it, and then realized it doesn't work because the meterage is a totally different one. It was both alpaca at least, but yeah, like totally different yarn weight. And I was like, okay, like I'm getting further and further away from like the first yarns I bought like I mean, I bought yarns the last 20 years, but I think 3 years ago I started buying yarns for certain projects, etc. And yeah, so I put like, I sat down on Sunday and put like labels on all of my scraps to remember what yarn bases and what brands and meterage it is. So that really helped. And so yeah, I think I have like my scrappy single skein situation under control, but I think I lost a little bit control about surrounding my sweater amounts of yarn. So we need to stash down a little bit before we start buying new sweater amounts again. So let's get into my projects. I wrote them all down. And the first and maybe the most exciting project is a test knit. I've never test knitted before. It really doesn't most of the time appeal to me because I think it feels like it comes with a lot of restrictions, like obviously the time pressure, like the yarn, the gauge. I don't know, like I also don't feel like you should modify that much when you're test knitting, so other people get an idea how like the knit looks when you knit it after the pattern. I mean, it also depends on the designer. Some designers are more chilled about modifying, some aren't. Not that I have a lot of experience in that department, but when MJ from Ellis Knitwear, I always forget like what's her name and what's her designer name. So Ellis Knitwear posted about a beautiful drop shoulder colorwork sweater named the Lillehammer Pullover. I will insert a picture. And I think she did it like in the beginning of summer. So it's been definitely some time, and she had so the things that like made me want to test knit was, first of all, she had a very generous test knitting period. So I mean, it's all over colorwork sweater, all over steeked. We will get into that. And so it's definitely a time consuming sweater, but I think like I don't even remember when the test knitting period started, but we have time until the 20th of December, and yeah, I think that is basically very doable, at least for me. And I knew that I would be off October, November and December, so off work, so I knew I would have extra time then. The design, so I will look into it. When I see test knits, I first think about, first of all, is this adding anything to my wardrobe, and is there a yarn I would like to knit this design in, because I rarely knit designs in the recommended yarn, and this is the case with this one as well. The recommended yarn is Drop Sleema, and I went in a total different direction, which I don't know yet if that has been the right decision or not. But yeah, I looked at the gauge and the needle size, etc., and thought like, okay, what yarn would I like to try, which has like a really nice color selection, and what kind of color vibe am I going for. Intuitively, I wanted a blue and cream colored version, like similar to hers, or like a more denim blue ones. But I was like, okay, you already have your halibut sweater in exactly that color version, and I also have like 2 other sweaters, like one is on my needles and one is in like I have in storage with dark navy background color. So I was like, okay, you don't need like a third dark navy sweater or a blue sweater. I also have a denim blue sweater amount for a different sweater next year. So it's like, okay, you don't need a blue one. Then I immediately wanted a beige or grayish one, like similar to my cloud sweater that I'm wearing. And I was like, hey, you also don't need a grayish sweater. And I was like, okay, what color am I missing? Then I really wanted a red and beige one, but I just knit my, what is it? the name, my striped overload polo and that color combination. So I was like, you also don't need another one of that. And I also have for this winter a green and beige colored plaid. So I was like, okay, what color are we missing? And if you've seen my podcast episode from May or June, I recently moved into like a yellow mustardy house, and I'm really inspired by the color. I talked about my love and hate about mustard colors a lot in the past, and I was like, we are reintroducing like autumn fall colors this year. I really didn't like them for a moment, but now I'm more intrigued by them again, and I chose this one. And you can barely see it on camera. So I chose, or I can show them on the wheel. So I chose BC Garn Loch Lomond, which is, I think, a woolen tweed yarn, woolen spun tweed yarn, I mean. And so I will put the yarn color names in there, but this is like a brownish grayish color, so very in my color palette, with like orangey speckles in there, and this is like a very mustardy color with also orange and brown speckles, so they are very close to each other, like color theory wise very close to each other. I'm getting closer to you. And this is my swatch, which I steeked last night with my sewing machine. So very exciting, very stressful, to be honest. So I knit the swatch also in the round and put like steeking stitches in there, like similar to the construction of the sweater pattern. And you can see that like the two sides are different, because I also got a third color and thought like, if it's too low contrast, I will put in a little bit of white or cream in there. And I really like the cream and white, and I tried out different methods. So at the beginning I did like white so it's like stranded color work for the brown and the yellow, but then for the cream color I did intage, so back and forth. And then I was like, okay, this is painful, like this is not enjoyable. And then I tried duplicate stitching for the upper half, and that was much more enjoyable and effective, and also you don't have these annoying strands in the back. So yeah, that would be the version with like white or cream like accents, which is not part of the original design. And this is the version without that. It's very low contrast, to be honest. I love the colors, and in daylight it looks beautiful, but sometimes I think it's a shame because in the evenings you can't really see the pattern, and even like in daylight it's not that, like the contrast is still very low. So I think in retrospect I would rather have gone like with the yellow and the white, or the brown and the white, even though that would have been again a very grayish boring sweater. But I think for the effort you put in, it's maybe a little bit too low contrast. On the other hand, I love the colors, I love the color combination, it's very pretty. And I mean, I don't knit for anyone else to see my pattern. It just, I think it's, sometimes I think that it's a little bit of a shame because I'm test knitting this for MJ, and I feel like her design of the color work should be more pronounced and more visible. Yeah, but on the other hand, I know I will love these colors, and I might duplicate stitch onto it to make the stars, like, or I think this is actually the salvo rose, to make the roses more visible. So let me show you the sweater. I hope the light situation is better today, because it's actually, I can see blue skies, it's sunny today, and that's also why I'm filming. because I think in my last podcast episode, even though I think the light situation for myself was alright, but I think the background and also the colors were very grainy because of the bad lighting situation. So obviously I'm in the middle of a round, so that's so awesome. I'm very close to finishing the body. I think there's like only 3 centimeters left. How do I show you this? Where's the front? So this is not an easy sweater to show, but now you maybe can see why I say it's very low contrast. So it's a bottom up construction. You start by casting on the stitches for your size. I'm test knitting size 4, and do 1 by 1 rib, and then you start the color work, and you knit the color work short until your armhole starts, and then you cast on stitches for sticking the armholes, and the same for the neckline. And I think the neckline really looks very wild. Before I will stick this, I will put very detailed pictures into my Ravelry project, so other people get an idea how it should look before you cut into your yarn. So for the neckline, you put your neckline stitches onto hold, and then you knit stitches together to get a like rounded neckline, while also knitting stick stitches. And obviously you do the stick stitches to not knit the color work flat, which was also a reason why I decided to test knit this project, because I don't like knitting flat at all, but also not color work flat. And what I also really liked about this design, it's very oversized dropped shoulder design, and I think I rarely see that with like very classical Scandinavian color work designs. I just really like the fit on MJ. So yeah, I'm really close. And then I think you either, so this is like the center, it looks so weird, like everything looks wrong about the sweater, but I can get like closer so you can see the color work. So in the end, I think you either cast off the shoulder and back, and then like mattress stitch them together, I think. But I think I will keep the stitches live and Kitchener stitch them together, because I think that's easier for me. And yeah, so I tried the sewing and cutting last night. It worked perfectly. I mean, I think one of the reasons why I went for BC yarn Loch Lomond is since it's woolen spun, it's a very light yarn, but it's also very sticky. Like, I think it's perfect yarn for sticking. So I think like I didn't need to reinforce with like felting the edge or anything, and I tried like pulling on the strands that are close to the seam, and it just doesn't budge at all. So that worked fine as well. So let's hope it will work for the sweater as well. The only thing I'm a little bit nervous about is I'm very much off gauge at this moment, like way more off gauge than my swatch. And I think my swatch was off gauge 1 stitch, and I thought it would be fine, because often you knit like in smaller circumferences tighter than bigger circumferences, especially with color work. So I thought like, okay, it will relax more when I knit like on a big circumference, but it looks like it's way tighter. I mean, this isn't blocked, so I think this will make, I hope with blocking it makes a huge difference. But like at the moment, it's like 25 centimeters less positive ease than it should be. and that's pretty bad to be honest. Like, first of all, it's a dropped shoulder, so it really needs to have that drop. And second of all, like, I really wanted that like oversized colorwork sweater vibe, and at the moment it doesn't have that. So yeah, I don't know. Hello, editing me here. I'm taking back what I said about my gauge and the measurements. It was a false alert. I cut my sticking stitches last night, picked up stitches for the neckline. I will show you that progress in my next podcast episode. But it turns out I'm just too stupid to measure my sweater when it's still on needles. I don't know what went wrong there. Like, I don't know. I'm usually not... I am able to measure my sweater, right? But so I'm aiming, or the size I'm knitting has like 130 centimeters, so that gives me around like 25 centimeters of positive ease. And I measured last night, and before blocking I'm at 120 centimeters, so there is still 10 centimeters missing. But I definitely think that is something I can block out or block very closely to the 130 centimeters. So everything is good. I will be able to wear that beautiful sweater, because I was worried a little bit for a moment there that I might need to gift it or something. But yes, I'm a little bit off gauge, but not by that much. When I finished the sweater and it had its final block, I will let you know on here what my measurements, or the measurements of the finished object and my gauge was, and I will put it also into my Ravelry project where you can find all the informations. I also shortened the sweater by 10 centimeters because I'm a small human being in height, and but I put in detailed notes into my Ravelry project, so if you're also considering shortening it when you want to knit it, I have instructions for it in there. And yeah, I still obviously have to finish the body, and then I will stick it and knit the sleeves. I'm actually really excited about the sleeves, to be honest, because I really enjoy knitting sleeves. I know, very uncommon. I also don't have a second sleeve syndrome or anything. Really like knitting that small circumference. And this color work chart, it's so it's like, I feel so bad because you can barely see it, but it's so nice to knit. I think the difference also to the halibut sweater is, since you don't knit a circular yoke, you don't have to do increases in the color work, so that's really enjoyable, to be honest. And also she doesn't have like the very long floats. Like there are definitely a few holes where I catch my floats. I catch my floats every time it's more than 4 stitches, so with 5 stitches or more. What did I want to say? Lost my train of thought there. But yeah, like, I think the pattern is very repetitive, and often you can like depict what color comes next, especially since you repeat like the stars a few times. And also like this, I call it the bubble line. Like there's a band of basically like circles and bubbles. That's also very easy to see like what color you need to knit next. So it's definitely a project where I have to push myself a little bit, like, and tell me like, you need to finish at least, I don't know, 5 rows today or something, because there is just this deadline. And it's not just, I don't know, easy peasy TV knitting. It's just, you have to look at that chart. But at the same time, once I get into it, I'm really into it. It's really enjoyable. And I really like color work, and then I'm also really excited if the sticking turns out great, that I unlocked a new skill basically. So I will show you the finished project obviously, but also how it will look after sticking, and we'll put very detailed pictures on my Ravelry for anyone who needs some visual help. We also have a small Instagram group chat going with some other knitters who are also test knitting this, because MJ didn't put up like a group chat or anything other social, so I kind of like initiated that, because I've never been a part of a test knit, and since this is also like a little bit more advanced test knit with the sticking, like a lot of us haven't done sticking before, so I thought like a little bit emotional support would be great. And so it's lovely to see the colors. Like there are so many amazing colors online, like definitely check out at least the hashtag. I think you can't see the project on Ravelry yet, but yeah, I think a lot of people did like very excellent color choices out there, which have a lot more contrast in comparison to mine. I'm also taking out hibernating projects, because to be honest, like before I cast on new things, I maybe should finish the projects from last winter that I put aside. And one of them is my second knot pullover by Hanne Rimmen. I've knitted this 2 years, 3 years ago, I don't even remember, and I really like the kind of like simple design of the stripes, but a little bit with an extra, since it's a little bit of 1x1 color work. I really like the contrast edges, and I always wanted a navy and cream colored one, since I saw one of the projects in this color combination. I'm knitting this with Yerbo 2 wool, which is like 2-ply wool. This is a very rustic sport weight yarn, I guess. I had to go down in needle size a lot. Like I think I'm knitting the color work on 3.5mm needles, but the navy stripes in between on 3mm needles. And so also this is like blocked if you're wondering, because I was also a little bit worried if it's too small, and so I tried blocking it, and it definitely fits. So you can see the huge difference between the sweater I showed you before. I really don't enjoy knitting with this wool that much, but it softens up a lot while wearing and blocking, and I have it in my stash. I like the colors. I already have so much of the body knit, so I do want to finish this, and I think I have definitely, like, because the reason I put it away last winter was because of my lighting knitting situation. It was not good enough to knit in winter dark navy yarn, and I think this year I'm better prepared, so I hope I will finish this shortly, especially since it's not that complicated. Like this is like one of the few knits that I don't need a chart for. Another project from the whip section, the hibernating whip section, is, oh, I haven't taken that out in a very long time, and I will make a mess now. Wow. Oh my god, this is just going to be so chaos. I don't even know if it's still on needles. Oh, it is. Crazy times. So I started, I think in the beginning of the year, I don't even remember when I started this, the Lonely Leftovers vest by Wolle and Beyond, but I made it bouclé because I was really inspired by these like sheepskin vests or like Sherpa vests kind of, they're really in trend right now. You can also buy like a lot of fleece sweaters or jackets from outdoor brands which have a similar texture. But I thought like, oh, that's actually something you can easily knit. And oh, this is a needle poking through. I am knitting this out of a combination of boucle yarn from Selfmade's wool brand Freya and soft brushed alpaca silk by Drops, because I had this one left over and I thought like, oh, I actually can combine it. And obviously this is like a super squishy, warm, amazing fabric. And I thought about knitting like the purpose I want to have it in my wardrobe is like a overlaying piece. So I'm knitting this very oversized, so you can basically wear it on top of sweaters or under your jackets to have that extra layer. And yeah, so I stopped, so it's twisting all the time. I knitted the back panel, and you do like an I-cord edge, and then you pick up stitches from that. And I joined the back and the two front panels together, obviously not in the round because it's a garter stitch vest. And yeah, so I still obviously have some way to go because it's not finished. And the thing that is, I think, most time intensive with this vest is that you do like an all over I-cord edge, and I used like this really funky blue color from Knitting for Olive last time, and I haven't chosen what if I want to use the same contrast color or a different one for all the other edges. At the moment I'm more thinking of a more toned down version, so maybe like a dark navy or brown. I don't know, I'm not really sure yet, but it's also like a very, I think because I just need to knit straight now for some time, and then you have like these rounded edges, so it's kind of a mindless knit. I just need to continue knitting on it. It's mindless in that way that it's like doesn't have like complicated texture, but on the other hand, with the boucle you definitely need to pay attention that you get your needle through the stitch and not one of the boucle loops. But yeah, I mean, it's halfway there, or maybe 1/3. So it shouldn't take forever. Things I would like to cast on garment wise, but like I said, I see that in January happening and not in this year, in this calendar year anymore. Wow, everything is falling apart. I really want to knit myself a Guernsey sweater from the Sandnes magazine. I've gift knitted one last year for a friend, and I really enjoyed the knitting process, and I really enjoy the design, and obviously I went through some loops, whatever the saying is, to get the pattern. So I really would like to make one for myself, and I got last December, so a year ago, I got Hjelholt Uldspinderi Græesgarn, which is I think a discontinued yarn. I think there are still some places you can get that, but it was on sale because they are discontinuing it, and it's basically really close to Petzold, like the thicker one, which is often used in my favorite things, knitwear and petite knit patterns, but it's more an ecological version of that, like a more sustainable one, because it's made 100% from Danish sheep that also are in Denmark, so it's like not imported, and is also produced in Denmark. And I think it's just a very small footprint therefore. And they also have like several natural gray colors, and I think this is the mellem gray, so yeah, middle gray kind of color. And so this, obviously this is, since it's a textured sweater, it's a long-term project for me, but I would really like, because this is like very rustic, thick, warm wool. I already have a sweater vest, no, a vest in it, or slip over, and I would like to have like that oversized textured sweater, so that you can throw over, that you can go hiking on with, I don't know, like, because this is like such like rustic natural wool. I think that actually fits the vibe very well. I would also like to use my leftover Manchelopis yarn that I used in my cloud sweater. I still have like nearly 2 plates left over. Oh, they smell so good. I love this yarn. They brought out new colors. I'm so intrigued. I'm thinking about knitting maybe next year or 2026 a second cloud sweater, because this is by far my favorite sweater. But I would like to knit with this yarn a vest and a button vest, specifically vest number 4 by my favorite things Knitwear. And I also have some beige mohair left over, so this is like basically a scrap leftover project, but I have a lot of leftovers, as you can see, because I think in the beginning it's really hard to estimate how much you need of that Manchelopis or unspun yarn in general, and I just bought way too much. I could have given it back to my local yarn store, but I really like this yarn, so I would love to make myself a vest number 4, which is like a crew neck buttoned vest, very like basic, but I think also very wearable. But I think before I start that vest, I would like to finish my lonely leftovers vest, because maybe I should see how much wear I get out of these vests before mass producing vests in my life. Wow, how many times did I say vest now? Another project is I would like to cast on, and I actually thought I would knit this as my like Christmas sweater, like holiday sweater kind of thing. I actually don't plan, first of all, finishing it until then, and second of all, since it has mohair, I don't think it's very usable for me this year, because I am celebrating Christmas Eve with my sister and her family, and obviously with her newborn baby, and I would rather not wear something with mohair. So maybe I will wear my Lillehammer pullover if it fits me. And I'm planning on maybe wearing my red, because I think it's very Christmassy, my red Maggie cardigan on like the first Christmas day, with like when we're going out with my grandmother. So I think that would be much more appropriate, because that has also a lot of like fuzzy mohair in it. But this could be my Christmas sweater for next year, and I think it's also a very enjoyable knit, and it's the Holly sweater or Holly pullover or Kristjørn sweater by Hanne. I really enjoy Hanne's color work designs. I think they're very beautiful, also very botanical, but also it has like the Scandinavian like minimalistic vibe to it. And I was thinking about knitting this already beginning of the year, but I wasn't sure yet, because I didn't, so I had already bought the Wanderschäferei Paula and Konsorten 100% wool. It's like from a mixed breed of merino sheep, so and I got this lovely like grayish yarn and wanted to make a colorwork sweater, but I wasn't sure about the contrast color and the design yet. And then because I needed to order knitting for olive I needed to order silk mohair for the sweater, and I ordered knitting for olive silk mohair. It didn't have to be knitting for olive, but yeah, I helped with the light with this Manchelopis yarn, like the color oat, and in the same go I ordered the color linen, because this is like, I mean, if you look at this at its own, it's like, it looks just like a grayish kind of color, but holding it next to the linen color, you definitely can see that the wool has a lot more like warmer undertones. So I wanted to cool it down a little bit, and I think this is actually a gray, yes, and a great combination. I already caked up a skein, wow. Like, I think I was really getting ahead of myself when knitting this, and I want to hold it. Wow, I have a lot of that left over. I wasn't aware of that. Ugh. I want to hold it with Filcolana, where's the label here? Filcolana Peruvian Highland wool in the color, I think this is hunter green. It's also left over, I have more than one skein, left over from a sweater from I knit for a friend last year. The same as this knitting for olive mohair in the color slate green. And I think the meterage I had were like perfect for the color work in the holly sweater. And like I said, I'm really good at using up these like odd quantities of yarn. Like, I can always find a project with them, and I plan my project also around like most of the time my scraps, if I buy not like total new amounts of sweater amounts of yarn. So that's that. So that are my very ambitious plans. So that's like 2 vests, 1, 2, 3 sweaters, no, 3.5 sweaters, because the Lillehammer is nearly finished, and 1 cardigan. So that's, I mean, obviously I won't be able to finish that until January, if we are being honest. Like, I mean, I have a lot of knitting time right now, but like not that much knitting time. So what else? I also would like to fix something, and that is my halibut sweater. I would like to lengthen the sleeves because they shortened over time. I think that is something a lot of people experience, and I think I've also knitted them quite short, and I have like 1.5 skein left over of this denim blue BC yarn semi melange, so it should be quite easy to lengthen that. I think I already started like marking where I want to cut it and kitchen and stitch it back together, so it's more wearable for me. Yeah, still love this sweater to death, get so many compliments on it, just I love it, still very proud of it. Also, it's so soft, the yarn, highly can recommend it for color work. That's also the reason why I went for BC Yarn Loch Lomond, because it's also like that light but also plushy and very soft, but not in a merino way yarn. I don't know how to describe it. It's just, I think like if I would buy sweater quantities for color work sweaters, I would always tend to these 2 yarn brands, because they are just so beautiful and so soft. What else? Accessories. I announced that I need more neutral accessories because I've knitted myself a lot of colorful sweaters this year, and I've knitted colorwork accessories also in the past. So yeah, I think I need like some sad beige accessories, and I actually started and finished my first one. Was really surprised by the how fast it knit up, and highly can recommend it. So the pattern I'm talking about is the Vineyard Hat by Odd Row. I think that's the designer name. I hope so. That's at least the website where you can buy that pattern. It is not blocked yet, but I came up with that pattern because it's also a square pea project. This is knit with Alpaca 1 by Isager, which I bought for different projects this year, in the beginning of the year. Didn't use it for that. And 1 ball of brushed alpaca silk. I think the original pattern is made for Alpaca 1 by Isager. That's how you say it. And what is it? 2 strands of silk mohair held with it, and it's all knit in seed stitch on 5mm needles. That's also why it went by so fast, because 5mm needles. And obviously brushed alpaca silk has less meterage in comparison to silk mohair. So I came up with the idea to knit the inside of the brim with a different yarn. So it's like the brim is double folded, and then you have like the 3rd layer of the hat basically, so it's very, very warm. And this is how the decreases look. The seed stitch was very enjoyable to knit. Like, it's not mindless, but it's also like not too complicated. It's also not boring stockinette, so I really enjoyed it. Also it went by very fast, obviously, and I'm really glad I used up that 1 skein of drops brushed alpaca silk that I still had left over from my it's that wrap cardigan of my favorite things knitwear. I forgot the name. It was part of the Isager collection. Yeah, it doesn't really matter, but I had that left over, didn't have a purpose, and now I have a super fluffy hat. And yeah, I just basically, like, I cast it on with the brushed alpaca silk, knit halfway to the middle point of the brim basically, then switched to the leftover, just some gray rustic wool that I held with the alpaca, and knit with that until I ran out of it. Knit the like the brim together, because you do that, like, it's just not folded inside, it's knit together, and then just knit the inside of the hat again with the brushed alpaca silk, so I had like the soft wool on my forehead. I will just put it on. Can I put it on over my hair clips? I still have wet hair, but I thought I needed to use up that light today. I mean, you can like wear it with more of a pointy hat, which I like, but you can also pull it more down if you prefer that kind of look. I think I knit the adult size, so the biggest size, and I love it. It's also something different, which I really enjoy, because I tend to knit all of my hats kind of the same, which is like just 2x2 rip basically. I wear most of the time like these, I don't know, hipster fisherman. Oh, these are not holding anymore. Like very close fitted hats, which are very short and are not covering the ears, and it's gotten really cold in the evenings, and I thought like I need a warm fluffy hat. So that's that. I also discovered that Otro, I don't know, I'm not 100% sure, my hair is not holding, has a lot of other lovely patterns, especially like a lot of mini scarves. Oh, looks wild, it doesn't matter. If you are looking for an alternative to a Sophie scarf, like it definitely has like that elongated mini scarf vibe, but she has like a lot of different designs. She has one matching to this, like a Vineyard scarf, which is the smaller version, and then I think also a Vineyard shawl, which is like more of a bigger triangle-y scarf, I guess, or shawl. She also has the Twig scarf, which is knitted in, what is it, a broken rib pattern, and I looked into what she recommended yarn wise, and she recommended 20 to 30 grams of Highland wool, which is ironic because I actually have exactly 20 to 30 grams of Highland wool from Isager left over from the Guernsey Genser I knitted for a friend last year. And I also have, where is it, like exactly, because she holds it with a mohair, and I have one ball of knitting for olive silk mohair in linen, in oat left over, and they match pretty good. I was like, perfect, I can knit that. So yeah, I'm really excited when I find like these patterns where I can use up like these leftover yarns for. But I looked into the pattern, and she also says like the pattern is adjustable to the yarn or the yarn amount you have. So basically you can knit it until half of your yarn is used up, and then you can start your decreases. The same with the Sophie scarf. And I find like these kind of mini scarf or scrappy projects are perfect, because yeah, it's like the perfect project to use up these leftover yarns. I also started like, oh my god, I have yarn everywhere. Okay, it took me a minute. So I also started knitting the Alex hood by Knitting for Olive. It's a scarf with a hood on it, and if you've been here from the start, you remember that I tried to construct something similar in, I think, the beginning of 2022. I got like, I think, half fisherman rib balaclava pattern by Paula stricked, and wanted to modify, oh, the sun is out, wanted to modify it into something like a hooded scarf, because I've seen that on a like influencer Instagram website, like just that you can buy it. I didn't have the patience to do that. Then I also had like so many other projects, especially gift knits at that time, so I abandoned that idea. And now Knitting for Olive did the job for me and designed a pattern like that. It's not 100% the same. The other one was, I think, half fisherman's rib, so it's like, it looks like 1 by 1 rib basically, and this, the Alex hood, is 2 by 2 rib, and I'm also knitting it in a very different color. I really went back and forth color wise. I really looked into my stash but couldn't find something, because you need a lot of meterage for that scarf. So I think it's recommended for 750 meters or something, so that's like, for some people, a sweater amount of yarn. You knit it on 3.5 millimeter needles, and that's how much I knit. So basically not a lot. You also can't really, I need to push it back. So it is, like I said, 2 by 2 2 by 2 rib stitch, and you increase on one side And I think, yeah, you knit like one half of the scarf and then you knit the other side of the scarf and then you join them, I think, together, and then you pick up stitches for the hood. I haven't read through the whole pattern yet. I really don't enjoy two by two rib. I totally didn't look at the pattern before starting this, but so far it's not that bad. I also really like the color which I've chosen. It definitely took me some time. I thought first of also a grayish one, but I was like, so boring. I'm so boring with my color choices sometimes. Then I thought of a green one because I have some woolen twine BFL mushroom yarn in my stash, but I couldn't find a matching mohair for that one, and I really don't like when greens are not matching because it gives like that military look. And I have new yarn shops where I live, obviously, because I just moved here, and one of them is also carrying Lang yarns, alpaca socks. I have the label on here as well, and I've knitted socks with this before, but also a mini scarf for my grandmother a few years ago, and it's very, very soft yarn, I think, especially for alpaca, because a lot of like other alpacas I'm sensitive to, and they have a really great color selection. So they have the 4-ply and the 6-ply, so this is like sport weight, I guess. It is like 150 gram, 390 meters. I'm knitting it on a 3.5 millimeter needle. Maybe you could also call it light DK. I'm not 100% sure, but I would call it a sport weight. And yeah, they have like a lot of very beautiful colors in the neutral section, but amazing green colors. So if you're looking for a green yarn, check that out. And you're not sensitive to alpaca, it's also superwash, which I don't tend to knit, but I actually like this. And this, I think, is the color Cinnamon Melange, which I don't think it's really fitting. So it is, I think you can see what I really liked about this color. It's not one-dimensional, so it's very that melange vibe. But I would call this color more like a chestnut brown or mahogany or something. It's definitely not, it just doesn't remind me of cinnamon that much. I think cinnamon is much more lighter and more orange, and this has more of a reddish brown to it. But I think it's also really pretty color, which, like I said, I'm dipping my toes more into fall colors since I hated them for so many years. And I think since I already have like neutral and bright colored accessories, I thought maybe a brown one would be appropriate this time. So yeah, I don't know how fast I will knit this. A friend of mine already told me like it's super boring to knit that pattern because you're basically knitting back and forth 2x2 rib for a very long time. Didn't really think ahead of that when I bought, or when that friend shared the pattern with me and I got the yarn for it. So it's an hour already. What else am I planning on knitting? I also would like to knit myself mittens, and I have some scrappy yarns that I could use for that. I saw on Purlwise something, no, just Purlwise, Claire's podcast, and also on her Instagram the Timmer mittens last year, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. It's only available in in Danish, but I think you can just put it into Google Translator, and it's also a mitten pattern. It's quite easy. So, and she translated it into English and I translated it just into German, so it's totally doable. And it's a very pretty broken rib stitch mitten pattern, and I have like this anthracite dark gray yarn, which is 100% unknown yarn, no idea what it is, in a very odd quantity left over like too much for a hat, not enough for a sweater, not enough for a vest. So I think perfect for mittens also. So it's not scratchy, but it's definitely rustic wool. And I don't know what else to do with it. And I think I might knit mittens with this one. I also went on the Purlsoho website because I think they have a lot of like free accessories, and I saw this like really cool like mitten hat combination of stripy design. I really like that, and I think it was like in beige and red. And I remember that I also got like with that, no, that's the wrong, with the with that beige color for the holly sweater. I also got like one skein of the red Paula and Konsorten wool. Wow, that label is glaring. Which I'm not using in a colorwork sweater right now, but I thought like this could also be beautiful mittens. And I also have like knitting for olive mohair, which would be a great match as well. I mean, this would be quite fancy mittens then. And I have a lot of like de Rerum Natura Serrano in Poivre et Sel left over. So I could like do very matching to my swipe overload polo and do like a stripy red and beige mittens, which I feel like are very Christmassy. They are also in a matching bag. I mean, it's not coincidental. But yeah, so these are my thoughts. This is obviously, this is 300 meters. I wouldn't need, I think, 300 meters of this yarn for mittens, so maybe it's a little bit sad to use it for mittens if it just doesn't use up the yarn. And I would rather, because I don't need 2 pairs of mittens at this moment, so I might rather knit the broken rib stitch ones with the grey yarn to get it out of stash, and maybe I will find something else for this next year. I don't know, not sure yet. That's it, I think. I also have some gift knits planned, or I'm already knitting on them, but I don't want to make this video too long, so if I really get to the gift knits, because sometimes I plan gift knits that actually never happened, I will make maybe in the beginning or in the end of November a video about my gift knits, because they are all like smaller gift knits that you can still make in December. I think it also depends how far I get ahead with my test knit, so if I actually have the time to gift knit, and yeah, I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed catching up with me and my autumnal and winter knitting plans, or my cold season knitting plans, however you want to call them. If you've seen my latest podcast episode, you know I already or still have a lot of things on my needles. So even though I said in the beginning like I want to keep it realistic and not do like a Delulu knitting plans video, I still think I'm a little bit delulu when I look at all the yarn that is surrounding me again. But I mean, except from the test knit, there's no time pressure on anything. If I push some cast on plans later to 2025, or maybe even knit them in next autumn, that's not an issue. But I think these are the things I would like to cast on and to have in my wardrobe. I also have, like I mentioned, a lot of other sweater plans. I mean, I already know what I want to knit next autumn, so call me crazy. Like, people are like, oh, I'm going to do my autumn knitting plans. Like, I know like what I want to knit in 2 years. This is how crazy about knitting I am. No, but I have like some lovely projects planned, and I have so much yarn acquired, I think, in the last 2 years, so which I would really love to knit up. Like, it just time keeps running away. Like, I think this year, I don't know if it has to do with my life changes, but I think this year went by so fast. And I also feel like, I mean, I've knit a lot, but still, like, I think in comparison to what I planned on knitting this year, I didn't even get a fraction of it done or will be done until the end. So yeah, maybe we should take that into consideration when making knitting plans for 2025. Crazy that it's already the end of the year. So I leave you with that. I hope you might be excited about some of the things I'm planning or I'm currently knitting. Maybe you want to do the Lillehammer as well when it comes out, because I think MJ is planning on bringing it out on the 21st of December, so it could be your Christmas cast on. I think it would be also very beautiful in some Christmassy colors. There are also some people who, I think there was like a cream and light blue version, which was like so like, I don't know, icicle, snowflake, January, February vibes. I really loved that. There are also some like very bright ones like neon orange, neon pink, like color faded. If you're looking for someone else who's talking about that test knit, I think made by Jo, I think Jo is her name, is also test knitting this. I just recently started watching her podcast episode. I mean, she's further ahead than I am, but also she feels very similar. Like, you have to push yourself to knit on it, but at the same time you love it. Like, but you have to do like, you have to make like little deals with yourself. So I hope I'm getting this done. My plan is to finish one sleeve before the 1st of December, so that leaves me with 2 weeks, but I think that's doable. And I see you maybe next time with a podcast episode or my gift knits, depending on how far I get on my current projects. I see you soon.